Hi, Mike Dillard here, and welcome to the third and final part of our Year in Review video series. Exactly 1 year ago, we had a very simple idea. What if we could level the playing field? What if we could uncover the black box investing strategies of the rich and then share that knowledge with the rest of the world, and in so doing, empower average, ordinary people just like you and I to turn these times of economic chaos into the greatest financial opportunity of our lives? Well, as you've seen over the last week, 2011 has been an absolutely life-changing year for everybody involved in this little project we call the Elevation Group. In video number 1, we were able to identify the 5 economic challenges headed our way so that we can successfully position our assets to avoid these coming risks, allowing us to achieve financial security and peace of mind at the same time. In video number 2, my financial team and I showed you 4 simple investment strategies that are allowing people from all walks of life to profit in spite of the economic challenges unfolding around the globe. As we saw on our scoreboard, using any of these methods over the past year would have allowed you to outperform every major stock exchange, every major mutual fund, hedge fund, and even Warren Buffett himself without the ability or need to trade a single stock. In fact, while all of these Wall Street investments were losing as much as 47%, our black box wealth strategies paid us safely, I might add, 10 to 27% returns. We even showed you how I've created a $100,000 per month tax-free retirement that's independent of the stock market. And as a result, this humble little project has grown into something far greater over the past year. It has become a movement that signifies a turning point in history where the people of the world choose right over wrong, empowerment over fear, and financial freedom over financial slavery. In fact, since the release of video 1 on December 5th, just over 1 week ago, this series has been seen by over 850,000 people from over 100 different countries around the world. When you consider the newest and largest U.S. football stadium in Dallas, Texas that hosts the Cowboys holds 80,000 people, we have shared this message of hope with enough viewers to fill more than 10 of those stadiums in just over a week. Well, today I'm here to share the final and most important video of this series with you, and we have 3 important items to cover. First and foremost, what I'm about to show you in this presentation is going to affect you, it's going to affect your children and millions of people on all 7 continents around the world, because my colleagues and I are about to disrupt and then reinvent the only industry that truly matters to your future, and in the process change the course of mankind. Next, I'm going to share 3 of the biggest investment opportunities that I see coming out on the horizon. They will simultaneously offer safety along with the chance of a lifetime to cash in on increasingly important industries in a world that gives birth to 1 million hungry new mouths every 5 days. In fact, one method I'm going to show you would have enabled you to turn $10,000 into $251,000 in just 4 years with almost zero risk to your money. And no, this isn't the latest gold mining or oil stock. It's actually completely unique, extremely simple, and frankly, you're just going to have to stay tuned to get the details. And finally, for those of you who've asked us how you can join the Elevation Group for 2012, I'm going to provide you with that information later in this video, along with a very special link that will allow you to join at a 70% discount. So with that being said, welcome to our third and final video. Here is how we are going to change the world and how you can help. You know, at the end of the day, we all want similar things. Baby boomers want the ability to retire in security and comfort. Those of you in middle age like myself want prosperity and stability and a sound future for our children. And the new generation who are just entering the workforce want hope and passion and opportunity. Well, as I began to dive deeper and deeper into the history of money and human nature, I discovered that right now, you and I are living through a very, very special period in history. Known as a fourth turning, this recurring window in history was discovered by researchers William Strauss and Neil Howe after studying the dynamics of human civilization all the way back to ancient Greece. You know, only taking place every 80 to 100 years, Fourth turnings are always punctuated by an inescapable period of crisis that changes the course of society and humanity for the next century. Well, if you think that sounds like some kind of hocus pocus, you're about to look at the world in a whole new light. Now, in order to demonstrate this amazing phenomenon for you today, I need you to walk out to your garage. I need you to crank up your time machine and turn it back to the year 1780. Now, when you arrive, you're going to find the newly established colonies of America in the midst of a crisis. The American Revolutionary War is underway as a fledgling nation fights for its independence from England. Dodging the musket bullets being fired by the redcoats, you climb back into your time machine and set the date for 80 years into the future, barely escaping with your life. When you arrive, you find yourself in a beautiful open field, but once again, the sound of gunfire fills the air. This time of the year is 1861, and you are witnessing one of the first battles of the American Civil War. Do you think this is all just a coincidence? Well, then jump forward into the future another 70 years, and you will find yourself standing on Wall Street outside the New York Stock Exchange. But instead of the normal hustle and bustle that fills the city streets, panic is in the air. The year now is 1929. The Great Depression has begun, and over the next 3 years, the Dow will lose 89% of its value. And just a few more years from now, a young man from Hungary named Adolf will use this period of equally great change in Germany to rise to power. This phenomenon happens like clockwork, and if you still don't believe me, I dare you to jump another 80 years into the future one final time. You've guessed correctly. You've arrived in 2008. The Dow Jones has just crashed 777 points, the largest single-day drop in history, setting off a global financial crisis that continues to this day. America has once again entered its fourth turning. These periods only come about once in a lifetime, and when they do, massive power vacuums are created by the political change that always comes with a national crisis. Everywhere you look, you can see these vacuums being created today as governments around the world are being turned over at incredible speeds. In the last 36 months alone, we've seen the fall of governments in Iceland, Tunisia, Egypt, Kosovo, Greece, Libya, and recently Italy, to name just a few. This year, riots and protests in the streets of America began, and by 2015, the U.S., caught in the fate of its fourth turning, will be the climactic source of a global revolution. So how will this turning end? Well, there are only two ways that they ever do. These power vacuums are eventually filled by leaders who bring in a new age of tyranny, as in the case of Hitler in Germany, Stalin in Russia, or Mao in China. Or they're filled with leaders who usher in a new age of freedom and prosperity, as seen in America during the Revolutionary War, Civil War, and the great economic boom after World War II. The choice, and our fate, is ultimately up to us. Protecting and empowering as many people as possible during this time of change has been the mission of the Elevation Group over the past year. And while we've already helped and will continue to help tens of thousands of families do just that, we've come to realize that this unique point in history has blessed us with the opportunity to do something much greater, to do something that can literally change the world. And many people talk about change these days. They talk about how Wall Street is stealing their money, how politicians in Washington are stealing their rights, and how the greed of corporations is stealing the very health of their children. Some people talk about solutions, that we need to end the Federal Reserve, that we need to end corporate campaign contributions, and that we need to bring an end to the use of untested, genetically modified foods. But no matter how great or well-intentioned these ideas may be, they will never work, because these problems are only symptoms of the root cause. Sure, you can end the Fed or send a few people to jail, but because the system itself and all of the people within it are corrupt from the very core, they will simply be replaced with someone else who is just as corrupt. That's why nothing changes, no matter which political party is elected. They're not going to have a sudden shift in their moral fiber, because their very way of life is dependent upon corruption and fraud. They're not going to stop putting hazardous chemicals in your soda like aspartame, or hormones and drugs into your meats. They're not going to stop passing laws to spy on you and take away your freedom. They're not going to hold the banks accountable, because the banks provide the money they need to get elected. The system is corrupt. The innate difference between right and wrong fails to exist. Today it is simply a matter of what is right or wrong for the person making the decision. So when all is said and done, there is only one way to actually and truly change an entire system like the one we have today at every level. You have to start from the beginning with a new generation, your children and mine. You have to teach them an entirely new set of values, a new way of looking at the world and their role within it. You have to mentally breed the corruption out and raise a new generation of leaders on a global scale at the same time. That process begins in something we take for granted these days, something we would never think to look upon as the source of today's problems, and that is also the source of our opportunity. I made my first million by the age of 27. I've traveled the world. I've competed in the most dangerous car races on the planet. I've given more money to charity in the last 12 months than most people make in a year. I've accomplished and experienced more in the past 5 years than most will ever do in 5 lifetimes. The only thing I care about now is changing the world for the better. So over the next 30 years, my team and I are dedicating our lives to disrupting and reinventing the global education system through the Elevation Institute. Simply put, we are going to build the school system we'd want our children to attend, a system that will raise a new generation of leaders and entrepreneurs who will revolutionize the very fabric of our society. Starting at the university level online and then moving down through grade schools with physical establishments, our goal is to have a new generation of schools on all 7 continents in the next 7 years. You know, the University of Phoenix is the largest online university in the United States with over 600,000 enrolled students in 2010. In 2011, enrollment dropped by 30% amid criticism of high debt loads and low job prospects for these students. It's my personal opinion that the University of Phoenix is the epitome of a school which perpetuates the status quo, and within the next 10 years we intend to put them out of business. Revolutionizing the school system isn't a lofty yet empty dream for us. This isn't something we just have up on the vision board and say, you know, we hope we can do this. We've already begun. 2 months ago, I brought on one of the most talented business minds on the planet as the Elevation Group's new CEO. His name is Robert Hirsch, and at one time he was the youngest venture-backed CEO in the United States, and his specialty is helping companies like this one scale on a global level as fast as possible. When we created the vision for the Elevation Institute, he dropped everything to take the helm of EVG full-time. This past month, Eben Pagan joined our board of directors. Over the past 8 years, Eben has created the only virtual company in the U.S. to produce more than $100 million in revenue. His passion is the human mind and reinventing the way people think and learn about the world around them. And when he heard about the vision for the Elevation Institute, he had to be a part of it. In the first quarter of 2012, we'll be in talks with Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal and the primary investor behind Facebook, as well as Tony Hsieh, who founded the billion-dollar shoe company Zappos. Both of them share our agenda. Together, we are going to revolutionize the way our children learn through new online technology that is personalized to every student based on the way their brain thinks and works.